It's not your first visit, is it? It's not your first visit. It's your first visit? Oh, okay. Yeah, we give a Bhagavad Gita class at 6 weekdays. Well, daily. So yes. So when you feel free, you can maybe face me if you want. That'd be good. Yeah. Yeah. So. 18, 20, 20. Jayara Dhamadava. Is that too high? Mike, maybe I can just sit back from it a little bit. Jayara Dhamadava Kunjo Bihari Aya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivana Dare Yashodanandana Bhagatana Ranjana Yashodanandana Bhagatana Ranjana Yamona Tira Vanatari Yamona Tira Vanatari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanatari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Gokula Landa Radha Gokula Landa Radhe Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman Jaya Gonanitai Nitai, Jaya Guna Nitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Well, welcome all to hopefully will be an interesting discussion. I don't pretend to give classes because I don't still very much consider myself a student, but we can make it a discussion. Yeah, that should be interesting. Okay, so today we on the Gita, of course. That's what we do here at 6 o'clock, and we in the perfection of renunciation. This is the very last chapter in the Gita. So chapter 18, and we're on text 29. And the Gita now is, as you may or may not know, I would think that you all know, this is this discourse between probably the greatest philosophical discourse, one of the greatest. So it happened between Krishna and Arjuna on the battlefield, and Arjuna was imparting to Arjuna the science of life, really. You know, so he starts from the basic, very beginning. He describes the soul, and here we are in this chapter where Krishna is talking about the modes. We shall look at the differences between those two variations, those two things, or variables, and hopefully we can maybe just explain a little bit more according to my realization. I will, hopefully I can have something to say that can inspire, and will also maybe give me a better foundation which I can practice. That's the purpose of giving classes, to remind myself also of this process and what perhaps my objectives should be. What is the aim of life? In other words, so yeah. So Krishna laid it out here for Arjuna, and this is a manual, an instruction manual for living, we could say. So it's nice to always go into it and delve into it. One thing I would like to say about when I'm asked to give a class, I'm thinking, well, what have I got to say? But then I can just speak what I've heard through the scriptures, or what I received through the scriptures, and just allow the scriptures to speak. But certainly I can have something to say, because in this process we have so much. We share knowledge. That's one thing we do here. Every day we get an opportunity to hear and to engage, and so. Hearing is the first activity, that's the first step. And from hearing, everything else will come. So, I'm hearing as well, just as much as you, hopefully you will hear, maybe attentively, and then we can open this thing up, and if you have any questions along the way, we don't have to wait until the end. If you have a burning question and you need some clarification as we go along, you can, please free to interrupt me. All right, so, let's go to the verse. So 29. Yeah, okay, so. Buddhi daram dirtischeva gunastra viham stumi stinu Prochayaman aseshana priktivena danam jaya. So, translation. O winner of wealth, now please listen as I tell you in detail all the different kinds of understanding and determination according to the three modes of material nature. Okay. You okay? You want to join? Please you can take some cushions behind. Are you going to take darshan? Okay. So here Krishna, it's not much said in this verse. And the purport is a very small one. Let me say it will only take a minute. Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki. Now, after explaining knowledge, the object of knowledge and the knower in the three different divisions according to the modes of nature, material nature, the Lord is explaining the intelligence and the determination of the worker in the same way. Okay. So from here, Krishna talks about the determination according to the different three modes of material nature, how we act in the modes. So, and he goes on to explain what are the symptoms of the modes. Goodness, ignorance, and passion. So, as you may not know, goodness, symptoms, you look out for the welfare of others. You tend to maybe not putting yourself first, or at least not all the time. But your concern is for the welfare of others, and you work that way to bring about that fulfillment. So others can be nicely placed, and their welfare is established. Those in the modes of passion, work, activity, very active, doing things. But the purpose of this is to maybe name, fame, and glory. It's for the self, and it's mainly for my enjoyment. So I'm doing this because it's my, it's my energy I'm putting into something. It's my talent, my ability. So I gain the reward, and I will enjoy it, and no one is going to stop me. It's mode of passion. So at this point, the supreme controller and doesn't come into it. I am the Lord, actually. Of all that I survey. And then the mode of ignorance, I don't care. Anything happens to anyone, I turn a blind eye, I don't care. So basically I just sleep most of the time. I'm lazy, indifferent to everything. But there are different destinations for all the different activities under the different modes. So the modes, they're very complex things, very complex. Because you have in the modes, you have the different transformation of the modes and the different interactions, producing different bodies, different living entities with different desires. And this is going on perpetually since time immemorial. So the Vedas mainly deal with the aspects, the subject matter of the three modes, mainly. Well, Krishna is saying to Arjuna in another part, in another place, he's saying, you must be transcendental to these modes. And that means that you should give up, don't be attached to duality. Duality is, happiness, sadness, heat, cold, these things. Just duality. That's material existence. And the other thing is what? What Krishna says, look, be transcendental to these things. Because without doing that, there's no possibility of being liberated. There's no possibility. Because the basis of this is, the basic rule is everything, material nature the very quality of material energy consists of the three modes: goodness, ignorance, and passion. And because of the interaction of these modes, then we're here, and we get further implicated in this activity, material activities, and we become further entrapped by it. To make matters worse, is that the living entity is also bewildered by the false ego, thinking that, okay, I am the doer of activities, when in actual fact, they're carried out by material nature. So material nature is our boss, but behind her, there is a supreme controller. And so we're constantly being bewildered because we do not accept the supremacy of nature or the supreme controller. So what to speak of, our actual position? So we don't really know what our position is in this life, because we're in the mode of passion and ignorance. Coming to the mode of goodness now, we stand a chance, but at least we can elevate ourselves to the higher planets. This is understood, so people practice in this way. Okay, I may not have the qualifications to make myself, a saintly person, or elevate myself, or be free from liberation, go to spiritual world. It seemed like a daunting task. It seemed quite difficult to do, but at least I can do some good things, and hopefully I can get elevation. I can go to higher planets where I can enjoy maybe less suffering, not so much anxiety. Mode of passion, we stay on the earthly planet. All the mode of ignorance, we go down to the hellish planets. It's said so in the Gita. So if we're going to take the scriptures literally, and because it's spoken by Krishna, then we're looking at truth here. Truth, which is a nice concept. What is truth? It says truth is reality distinguished from illusions for the welfare of all. And what is this welfare? What is this reality? The reality is the Sat or the Asat. Sat and the Asat. I think the Sat is the reality, Asat is what's not. Okay, so the reality is that we are spirit souls. That's the reality. The Asat, what is not, is that we are the body. So truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. At the moment, we're all driven by this concept that we're the body. The entire planet is doing it. I mean, very few people come into realization that I'm going to be here. There's more to this, more to it than that. Because we don't have the current knowledge. So we go on, for the false ego and the mind and the senses, and they carry us away. But we're all coming from that situation where, because it's a very difficult thing, material existence. Because the moment we come into it, in contact with her, she bewilders us, called Maya. So she bewitches us. She's considered to be a witch. But she works with Krishna. But anyway, she's in operation, and she bewilders us from the moment of existence. We come here. And then we automatically, then we have, even before coming, the false ego is there anyway, from previous lives. So it's to put things into context, how this is going on continuously. Why are we in the situation we're in, the living entities? Why are we trapped? We can understand this from the point of view that when we leave this world, this is good knowledge to have. So when we leave this world, with a subtle body and with a soul, and then the material element, the gross body, perishes, and then what we take with us, the essence of this life, our activities. But we take also the very essence of the being, which is the spirit soul, which is untouched. So we think that we're the doers of activities, not considering material nature, but we should give her some respect, because this is what she does. So So we acquire certain things in this life. We develop certain desires, certain propensities through our actions, and we have hankerings, and we like, and we have dislikes and likes. And then, even as we live, a body is being prepared for us for the next life. This is how it works. It says somewhere in the scripture that the body is being prepared for the living entity even before the entity leaves. So, by superior arrangement, things are going on, even without us knowing. What to think of, how the whole thing is being maintained and again destroyed and again appeared. So there's so much going on. But when we live with the false ego. We live with the desires. We live with the likes, dislikes, all these things, and propensities for enjoyment. We leave this world with those things. It's not over when we when we quit the body. It's not over. The journey continues. And so material nature gives us another body. She fashions us. She gives us another body according to our desires. Again, we take birth. Then the choice is tremendous. We can take a body in this or that or something. 8,400,000 different species. So there's definitely variety there. we can choose. So, but the whole thing is, it comes to a point when we get weary and we get a bit tired of this. We can understand. We might be fortunate enough to meet a devotee, a saintly person, or someone who is in the line of devotion, a sadhu, who can guide us and give us some instructions. But as I mentioned in the beginning, it starts with hearing. If we hear and we take it in, chances are we could, at some point, we could become liberated. So this is a knowledge we have given to us by the acharyas, and so we're here trying to practice this transcendental way of life. So hopefully that we can gain some knowledge and some realizations, and then we can at some point get the opportunity at least to have a better start in the next life. The aim is, it's a lofty goal, spiritual liberation, but there are different types. I won't go into those liberations, different types of liberation. But the thing is, because I don't want to leave stray from the point. The point is, nature is controlling us, and she gives us a body according to our desire, and be sure we will come back again. Maybe not here, but we'll get another body, that's for sure. And then we have to continue on the journey to live out our karma. Right? So karma, reincarnation, but the modes of material nature is intrinsic to, the modes are intrinsic. They're very much a part of the material energy. And we get entrapped because of the modes, and because of our actions, there are reactions. So we take birth again. So it continues like this. Because as long as we in a material existence, we are under the three modes. So Krishna is saying here, be transcendental. Not in this verse, because there wasn't much on this verse for me to discuss, to go on. But in the previous verse, he said, but it's still on the subject matter. He says, be transcendental to these modes. Okay, so here, that's what we're talking about. Be transcendental to these modes, so we can stand a chance of getting out of the clutches of Maya, and to be free, to be liberated. But here in Krishna consciousness, we just don't speak of liberation. We talk about spiritual emancipation. For me, it's more like liberation from ignorance, for me. So someone said, what does really liberation mean to you? What does it mean to you? You're practicing. And then I'm thinking, well, I like Gedrinja's reply. Gedrinja was the elephant devotee, I say devotee who took birth in an elephant body, and he was entrapped by a crocodile. But in his prayer to Krishna, he wanted this. He wanted to be free from material, not just from material contamination, but from freedom from the bondage of ignorance. Hare Krishna. So to attain the coverings, for me, liberation is to remove the coverings of ignorance. That covering which time does not dissolve. So time will not dissolve the covering of material nature or of ignorance, until we come in touch with the truth. And as I said before, the truth is distinction between reality and illusion. So yes, but again, come back to the modes. The modes are very instrumental in the way we live, because there's always competition between the modes, goodness, passion, ignorance. Sometimes the mode of goodness dominates. Shri Shri Radha Gokulan the key. Shri Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman key. Shri Gonitai key. Srila Prabhupada key. So there's always competition between the three modes. Sometimes passion wins, sometimes goodness wins, and then ignorance takes over. At the moment, predominantly in the world, we're in the mode of passion and ignorance. Very little goodness. I mean, it's there somewhere, we can find it. It's in all of us. But the atmosphere is so contaminated, spiritually speaking, that it's very difficult to remain in the mode of goodness. But to remain in the mode of goodness, that is one step closer to actually be on the spiritual platform. Actually, Prabhupada said something that, we always quote Prabhupada's his saying because he's the Acharya. But he says, actually, to be human is to come to the platform of goodness. Or else we like animals. Sounds a bit harsh to some people. Might say, probably, am I an animal? But he said two-legged animals. Anyway, who can argue with Prabhupada? I probably wouldn't be able to get away with it, calling someone an animal, but he could, because of his purity. Right? So, yeah, but we get a chance to at least come to the mode of goodness. We get a chance to at least be human. And then we can take to the spiritual practice nicely. Because then we can understand transcendental subject matters. We can, that subject matter, we can actually imbibe, and we can transmit it as well with some level of conviction. Because the whole process here is not just to take. Saintly people they give, they share. You have to share. You're not able to keep something like this to yourself. It's too wonderful. So that's why people go out there and they preach, and you have this Sankirtan movement going on, and Lord Chaitanya, who is our preceptor, he gave this. This was his desire that the world should benefit from this Bhakti Yoga and this transcendental knowledge, and now it's out there by the grace of Prabhupada. So we are kind of nicely situated. But the thing is, the world doesn't really they have access to it now, but there's so much knowledge out there, and the mind is being bombarded by all sorts of things. But and no wonder the world at the moment presently is in the mode of passion and ignorance. But that can all be changed. Not overnight, but step by step through hearing. So the sadhu, the saintly people, they want to share this knowledge with everyone. And then everyone is served then. Because if Krishna is served, everyone is automatically pleased. Because he is like the root, you water that, and everything all the branches are satisfied. It's just like that. So we're here, we do a task, we're here to, through instructions, to spread this transcendental knowledge to the right hearers, those who will accept. Okay, so the mode of goodness is still around us. It may not be prevalent, but it's still here. And bit by bit, we can make some progress together. So this is some of the ideas I want to share about the modes of nature, which is a very complicated mesh. This material energy and how the modes of nature are being transformed and integrated, and then how the living entities come in contact with it, and is governed by it, and to a certain extent manipulated. through the energy, modes of nature, or material energy, and how we react, and the different symptoms we display in the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance, and all the various results that we obtain: happiness, sadness, distress, but none of these things are permanent. So the idea is be transcendental to these modes, so that we can, at least we can come to the Suddha Sattva. Suddha Sattva. That is pure mode of goodness. And this mode of goodness is transcendental to all the three modes, even goodness. And this is the situation of Lord Vishnu. He is situated in that thing. And there's no ignorance in him at all. So all the other modes, somehow, because ignorance they can all be tinged by ignorance, because nothing is pure down here except transcendental knowledge. But right where we are, we can be transcendental to all those things purely by consciousness. So consciousness is the thing. So it's not necessarily liberated to get out of material existence, because a self-realized soul is not really interested in going somewhere. He can stay right where he is and be fully satisfied with this transcendental knowledge within himself. Self, that's a very important concept, the self. Through meditation, yoga, the correct practice. In the Gita, it talks about 6:20, chapter 6:20 to 23. It talks about the perfection of samadhi, and it says, in this state of perfection, it's talking about the self. It says, in this state of perfection called trance or samadhi, one's mind, and I'll talk a little bit about the mind before we finish, and its connection with the modes and the reactions and everything else, and the false ego. So it says, in the state of perfection called trance or samadhi, one's mind is completely restrained from material mental activities. So what's that? What is that material mental activities? The material mental activities is that we're in contact with the mind, through the mind, with matter. And that brings a certain level of distress. And we feel happiness and some sadness through that contact. And it says, in this perfection called trance or samadhi, one's mind is completely restrained from material activities by the practice of yoga. And he says, in this stage of perfection, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness, realized through transcendental senses. It goes on to say, established thus, one never departs from the truth. And what is that truth? That truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. So, established thus, one never departs from the truth. And upon gaining this, one thinks there is no greater gain. Being situated in this position, one is never shaken, even in the midst of the greatest difficulty. It says, this indeed is actual freedom, arising from all miseries arising from material contact. So it talks about be established in the self. There are various areas in these parts in the scriptures where we talk about be established in the self. And what is the self? This is a question for you. Or else I'll be sitting here and talking and then you might fall asleep. Hopefully that will never happen. But what do you consider self to be? It's a general question. Anyone can answer. What is the self? The Atma. Yeah, the Atma, the self. But there are two birds. So you have the Atma, the soul, and the Paramatma. So is the Paramatma and the Atma the same? Because it's a spark. The Atma is a spark of the Paramatma. So Krishna says you're all parts and parcels of me, because the soul that we are, it belongs to Krishna. So when we say the self, what are we referring to? The highest reality, the Krishna, or the Atma? But the Atma is the same as Krishna. Is it not, or is it different? Because it says there are two birds sitting, so it seems like there are two different things going on here. Yeah.
And the Atma is, we are part of Krishna as an Atma, which is within us. So, yeah, it's located, Atma is here.
Yes, yes. But it's the same, right? Because the Atma is spiritual. No? Yeah? The Atma is purely spiritual. Because the soul is spiritual. It's not contaminated by material energy, nature. And so the Atma is sitting next to, the Paramatma is sitting next to the Atma. Two birds. So there are two entities here then. So Krishna is accompanying us. So who's the self? Yes.
Do you mean the art? Is that working?
Is it switched on, Prabhu?
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, yes, Krishna.
Okay. When you say being situated in the self, I wonder if the Atma, when the soul is in the pure consciousness as being an eternal servant of Krishna, does this mean being situated in the self?
Yeah, through the practice of yoga, meaning we go in. Because as long as we go in and we turn our attention and we're in touch with the Atma, and then that's when our journey begins. It's recognizing the Atma, it's there. And then that's a very glorious thing to do because the Atma is awakened. It's conscious that we're conscious of the Atma, it's there. But the Atma and the Super Soul are the same, qualitatively, they are perfectly the same, absolutely the same. So, so maybe interchangeably, we could say you could use them interchangeably, both things. The self is Atma and the self is the Paramatma. I mean, according to my realization, I can't see the difference between the two. But
So your answer to being situated in the self, it can be referred to the Atma or the Paramatma.
well, because the Atma is always accompanying, the Paramatma is always accompanying the Atma. It never leaves the Atma alone, because it says Krishna is seated in everyone's soul.
I have a question.
Yeah, Krishna is situated in everyone's heart.
But if the spirit soul goes back to Goloka Vrindavan, will a Paramatma come with that soul then, or is that soul then being eternally connected to Krishna as the original Bhagavan?
Well, it looks like in the embodied situation, where I'm embodied beings, then the Paramatma is with us, because we need guidance. So in that sense, but I think in the spiritual world, we're not conditioned, and we exist eternally and all-pervading, because the soul is everywhere, apparently, it's all-pervading. But here, at the moment, we're in this embodied state, so we are, the soul is trapped, you could say. Yeah, a bit like a prison house. So so the soul is longing for this liberation, for us to return. So this is the. But if we understand how the modes are operating, and then eventually we can say, okay, if you have to be transcendent to these modes to stand a chance of getting out of the bondage of material existence, you know, so the Vedas mainly deal with this aspect, the subject matter of the modes, because it's so significant to understand that it runs through everything. The modes, they run through everything, every aspect of our existence, and in every part of creation. It's because you can't have a manifestation, physical manifestation, without the laws of nature going along with it. So, yeah, but be free. Even go beyond the mode of goodness. And then we can actually see, oh my goodness, my eyes are open. I've been bewildered, and I've been in delusion for many lifetimes and all this, you know. And then what this liberation means, what is this freedom? But we want to be happy. permanently. But it's very interesting that happiness is always with us in the Paramatma, as the Atma. The happiness is always with us, and everything is within our grasp. All we have to do is just shift consciousness from where we are to where we can be through guidance, knowledge, and the right applications. Then we can certainly make some nice progress, make progress in this life. Yes, Prabhuji?
Hare Krishna. Thank you for the class. Just about the point about the self. So when we connect with our real self, there's happiness. But then if we connect to the super self, the Paramatma, would you say that there's an even greater level of happiness than we can get just by being connected with ourselves? Is there a greater happiness by connecting with Paramatma?
And I think a further question to that is, I'm coming to that, but can you connect with the Atma without being with the Paramatma? That's another question. Is it possible? I mean, because we're part of that belongs to Krishna. And Krishna is always accompanying that individual soul wherever that soul travels. So Krishna is always there. So how is it possible to... So when those yogis, when they meditate on the Atma, well, I mean, Krishna, we meditate on the Atma, it belongs to Krishna. It's a spark of his splendor. How can we not experience this super soul? But I think, but the question is, when we acknowledge, it's not that we don't experience, but when we acknowledge that Krishna is there, does that bring a different experience? And it probably does. Because the super soul is acknowledged. Because he's a supreme ruler, then if he's acknowledged, and then if he's pleased, then everyone is pleased. If we please Krishna by acknowledging Krishna, at least it's a start. We can go further and try to serve him, then definitely Krishna is pleased. But it's a nice way to start acknowledging. But not even just Krishna. I mean, not just, you can even start acknowledging Krishna's manifestation, how his energy is working, his this wonderful, phenomenal world created by him. We can start at that point. But it's too much of a jump to actually even ask people to meditate on Krishna and to recognize him. But we can try and see his footprints, or identify his footprints or his signature in manifestation. We can start in that way. Maybe respecting Mother Earth, respecting the things around us, see the oneness that pervades all things, the one and the difference in everything. At the moment, I think the world is a very chaotic place because of these principles are absent. So there is fear and anxiety about everything. So there's mistrust, animosity between people, wars. This is going on all the time. Why? Because of this lack of acknowledgement that the oneness is present everywhere, and there's variety in this creation, and then we can embrace and accept. And then, but we can actually start to get people. We can just get people where they are, to just acknowledge, just maybe be appreciative, acknowledge nature, and show some gratitude. Instead of taking, manipulating material energy for our own gains and for our own enjoyment, and actually it's kind of sinful. We don't think of it like that, but exploiting energy, material energy, Krishna's energy, without even acknowledging the source of it, or the very thing that we're using the substance to create something for our own enjoyment, and just continue depleting. But Mother Nature will take care of herself, but we won't be here for long. She'll eventually take us back, take what's belonged to her, which is a material form. Everything comes from her. And then, but But we, the living entity, the soul is seated on a machine created by material energy, which is the body. It's a machine. So this is given. Or at least we can say, okay, if we're not seeing what's around us, we can even look at ourselves and say, all right then, this is a product that's given to me, is borrowed, and I'm going to have to give it back. So you could start showing some appreciation even that way. But in this life, there's not much of that going on. I don't want to speculate on how people are living, but you can see by the manifestation, the symptoms, people don't care about what's Krishna's, who Krishna is, or what's the things that come from Krishna. So because of that now, we constantly exploit, and then we live in anxiety and fear. And it doesn't really matter what our life situation is, what status we're in. We must feel anxiety. We must be, because we're disrespecting the laws of nature. And we're breaking these laws constantly, material laws and spiritual laws. No regards for those things. So therefore we're in anxiety. And then something will happen along the way by the arrangement of nature that we stop in our tracks. We actually have to slow down. We're forced to slow down. And this could come in form of disease, wars, all sorts of things, economic meltdown. But rest assured, nature will find a way of getting us to think. At least to come back to this reset point of thinking, okay, I'm going to be here. I think we're going too far with this. You see? So it's like that. But we're really not the controller. And we think we are. We think we're also the enjoyer, but we're not really. It's a huge, we're very small. It's a big planet, but this planet is even small within the whole scheme of things. And there's so many other planets and living entities and much higher than us, and they have better realizations, and they're also trying to guide us. Sometimes they come down here to help us, and like this. But this is going on. Our acharyas, our teachers from the past, they come to help us, but we can take the learnings, we can take the advice and the knowledge and transform our lives. So that's the idea, you see. And like yourselves, you've been very patiently listening, and if you have any burning questions or any corrections that you might want to air, I'm happy, I'm open to receive or to hear what you have to say. Oh, Prabhu.
Just a question.
Yeah.
Earlier you were saying about we get reactions for our actions.
Yeah.
And those reactions will come. And so what if I realize that too late? Like, okay, I've already done so much, but I can't. So I have so much debt to pay off. I have so much. What can I do at that point? Do I have to go through these things?
Oh, you mean, okay. Sinful reactions it's only possible to burn them off through bhakti yoga. I mean, you could be, a sort of a yogi who are really fixed up in your practice and you meditate a lot. But it takes a long, long time to get to that point. It could take millions of lifetimes. But association with devotees and serving the lotus feet of the exalted devotees and the liberated souls in the tradition of bhakti yoga or that transcendental practice, then one can be freed from all reactions. Krishna promises Arjuna this. He says, surrender unto me and I will take care of all sinful reactions. Have no fear. It's a promise. And even if you perish along the way, if you weren't able to attaining the goal, then you'll take birth again in a very, very fortunate situation where you can continue on your journey. But Krishna is faithful, and once one is engaging seriously and with sincerity in the practice, Krishna will preserve that person, through all kinds of danger, all kinds, and slowly elevate the consciousness to where you need to be. He is able to do that, So once you start your journey, whether you're able to complete or maybe unfortunately, if you weren't able to complete, you were able to attain the task, attain the goal in this life, which is to completely surrender to a process. We call this, we say Bhakti Yoga is probably the express way to self-realization or emancipation. And why is this? Because Krishna is so kind, and because he's a leader of the devotees, he's the master of material energy, and of the demigods and all the planets, he's head. So therefore, he's promising that, I am the supreme liberator. He's supremely liberated, Krishna. And like him, we can also become that, liberated, because we're not different. We're the same as Krishna, qualitatively. At the moment we're in illusion, we're thinking that we're separate from, he's not a part of our lives and he's not recognized so much. So I don't have much time left. I'm not quite sure I can take another question because the curtain's going to open in a moment. Was that okay, Prabhu? Did I?
That was really nice answer.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Prabhuji.
One quick question.
Yes.
You know, in Puranas, there
Yeah.
are several characters. They portray as demons.
Yes. Next time, maybe later you can ask. Shri Shri Radha Gokulam Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Ki Jai, Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Shiva Jaya Jaya Gora Chande Arati Kusobha Shiva Jaya Jaya Gora Chande Arati Kusobha Vasa Chatradhara Nirvasi ase Gorachan Ratna Simhasane Nirvasi ase Gorachan Ratna Simhasane Arati kore na Brahma Adi Devagane Adi Devagane Nara Hari Adi Gori Hamara Dulaya Nara Hari Adi Gori Kamara Dulaya Gori Kamara Dulaya Sanjaya Mukunda Vasi Gosa Adigaya Sanka baje ghanta baje baje karatala Sanka baje ghanta baje baje karatala Madhuram Tanga Bhaji Paramarasala Madhuram Tanga Bhaji Ghanta Bhaji Madhur 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 Bhaji Sanka baje, ghanta baje, madhur 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 baje. Madhur 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 baje. Madhur 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 baje. Hari bol, Hari bol, Hari bol, Jai Gora Hari bol. Bahu koti chandragini, vadana ujjvala. Koti Chandragini Vadana Ujjvala Koti Chandragini Vadana Ujjvala Kala Dese Vanamala Kore Jalamala Narada Keni Gada Gada Shiva Sukha Narada Keni Gada Gada Sampada. Gaura Sampada. Gaurange Arati ko Shobha. Jaga Jana Mana Lobha. Gaurange Arati ko Shobha. Jaga Jana Mana Lobha. Jaga Jana Mana Lobha. Jaga Jana Mana Lobha. Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai. Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Gaurani. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta Shri Advaita Gadadhara Gaura Bhaktivedanta Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta Shri Advaita Gadadhara Gaura Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda Radhe. Jaya Sita Ram, Lakshman Hanuman, Sita Ram, Jaya Lakshman Hanuman. Sita Ram, Jaya Sita Ram, Lakshman Hanuman, Sita Ram, Jaya Lakshman Hanuman. Sita Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Gauranitai, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, जय मुझपाद परमहंस परिगचार्य सुतर हमारे चरण रविंद्र भक्तिवेदांता स्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय मुझपाद परमहंस परिगचार्य सुतर शिला भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाप्रभुपाद ठाकुर की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की नामाचार्य शिला हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत धारा शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरी गोवर्धन की वृंदावन धाम की नवदी धाम की गंगा माई की जमुना माई की तुलसी देवी की भक्ति देवी की सामावेता भक्तवृंद की निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे ऑल ग्लोरीज असम लिबर्टीज ऑल ग्लोरीज असम लिबर्टीज ऑल ग्लोरीज असम लिबर्टीज ऑल ग्लोरीज टू श्री गुरु. Okay, Hare Krishna. Sit down, everybody. So we're going to sing the Singha-Day prayer. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Pralada Lada Daine. Hiranya Kashipur Vaksahaya. Sila Kantana Kalayane. Ito Narsingha Parato Narsingho. Ito Narsingha Parato Narsingho. Yato Yato Yamitato Narsingho. Yato Yato Yamitato Narsingho. Bahir Narsingho, Hridaye Narsingho. Bahir Narsingho, Hridaye Narsingho. Narasingha Madin Sharanam Prapade. Madin Sharanam Prapade. Kavakara Kamala Vare Nakam Adhuta Singha. Dalita Hiranyakasipu Tanu Bingha Kesavadisa Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisa Hare Jai Jagadisa Hare Jai Jagadisa Hare Vakara Kamala Vare Adhuta Singha Dalita Hiranyakasipu Tanu Bingha Kesavadisa Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisa Hare Jai Jagadisa Hare Jai Jagadisa Hare Jaya Narsingha Dev Jaya Narsingha Dev Narsingha Dev Jaya Narsingha Dev Jaya Narsingha Dev Jaya Narsingha Dev Narsingha Dev Jaya Narsingha Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol नरसिंहदेव भगवान की प्रहलाद महाराज की निताई गौर प्रणांदे Hare Krishna, thank you very much. So everybody go to the reception area for the prasadam we serve. Everybody.
Your energy is awesome, sir. Your energy is awesome.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Oh, glory to Krishna and Prabhupada. This is your baby? Good, still nice. This is very good.
Hare
Thank you.